The Silicon Power Elite R and Superior Pro are two SD cards that are designed to deliver a good performance while being affordable, and both models achieve just that. These being SD cards are ideal for cameras and devices that will benefit from the increase in speed and form factor. And in this review, we will see how good these SD cards truly are and compare them with older and newer offerings from the competition. The Silicon Power Elite R and Superior Pro are not new. In fact, they have been available for a few years now. However, that does not mean that they are obsolete. In terms of the pricing, it's difficult to say what's what, as the prices, especially for SD cards, is all over the place lately. However, I was able to source out the last prices for these SD cards. The 64GB version of the Silicon Power Elite R can be had for around $13 US, while the 64 variant of the Silicon Power Superior Pro can be had for around $25 US. These are not really bad prices, especially for SD cards of this caliber, as we have the newer offerings that are higher speeds, but you will pay upwards of $70 US for a 64GB SD card. For the packaging, these SD cards are protected by a plastic clamshell. Speaking of which, do not throw away these clamshells. They are useful for keeping your SD cards safe from debris and impacts. I keep all my SD cards in the original clamshell they were shipped in, and everything has been fine since then. The design of the Silicon Power Elite R and Superior Pro is simple and almost retro, with a black casing and colored label on the front. This type of gradient designs is reminiscent of the older style storage units, and it's not a bad thing at all. Although honestly speaking, the way an SD card looks like should be at the bottom of your list. I'm just mentioning it to cover all the grounds. The main differences between the Silicon Power Elite R and Superior Pro is the speed class. While the Elite R has the UHS Speed Class 1, the Superior Pro has the UHS Speed Class 3. The meaning of this is simple. UHS Speed Class 1 supports a minimum of 10 MB per second writing speed, while the UHS Speed Class 3 supports at least 30 MB per second for the writing speeds. We start our testing with Crystal Dismark version 8, and in this test the Silicon Power Elite R reached a maximum speed of 96.3 MB per second for the reads, while the Superior Pro has a maximum reading speed of 96.4 MB per second. This places both SD cards on the second and third position in our graphs. When we talk about the writing speeds, things get difficult, as the Elite R has a maximum writing speed of 49.4 MB per second, while the Superior Pro has a maximum writing speed of 50 MB per second. Quite a good result, as both SD cards are advertised to max out their reading speeds at 90 MB per second, and both exceeded that. However, the writing speeds are a bit of a letdown, as I was hoping for at least 60 MB per second. Even so, 50 MB per second is still plenty for modern storage devices. The next test is Atto Disk Benchmark, a popular storage benchmark that tests the devices using multiple storage sizes, and in the rating test, the Superior Pro reached a maximum transfer rate of 95 MB per second, while the Elite R is close behind with a maximum speed of 94 MB per second. For the writing speed, the Superior Pro reached a maximum transfer rate of 47 MB per second, while the Elite R reached a maximum transfer rate of 44 MB per second. Again, both SD cards are in line with the previous results. Finally, we have a real-world performance test, a file copy test. It's simple really. You take a 20GB folder and you duplicate it on the SD card and then see the average speed you get. And in this test, the Silicon Power Superior Pro has an average speed of 49 MB per second, while the Elite R has a maximum speed of 48 MB per second. Both SD cards maintain their speed throughout the entire file copy procedure. The Silicon Power Elite R and Superior Pro are good performers. They will not compete with the newer SD cards, but they are good enough for daily usage. I cannot compare these SD cards with, for example, the Sabrenet SD cards, as those are 3 to 4 times the pricing and higher speed. And that's what you need to keep in mind, the pricing. Both are good value when looking at what other models are selling for. If you can find them in stock and for cheap, then these SD cards will be a good choice for data backups and regular cameras. Do not get these if you have devices that demand a constant high speed rate, because these SD cards cannot deliver that. These are great for the casual user and nothing more, and it's great to see them priced accordingly to their performance. If you like this review, then you might consider subscribing for more, and if you want to support me in a direct way, then in the description below you will find the links for both the Patreon and also Substar pages of this channel.